Katie, pleasure to meet you again. I really love Mack and Rita.
Oh,
That's we talked before very
ah,
quickly, so really love that film.
thank you so much. What a privilege to get to work with Diane. I'm
Yeah,
so
that
grateful.
speaking of privilege, there's so many great things. This is an 11-day shoot, but I'm a Gen Xer, and I'm thinking just as a cinephile and a fan of just pop culture, working with Susan Sullivan and Brad
Ah,
Garrett, you're
yeah,
you're a veteran, but does a part of your youth come back just playing yeah.
100%. Absolutely. It can't not because the truth is we're all fans. We're just, you can't do this and not be just a super fan of the people who have done it before you. And I'm so grateful to everyone who says yes to these small things because I don't think they realize what a gift it is to the people that they're saying yes to.
Can you just talk about working with Susan in that scene by the store, and she's talking about this? Don't want to give too much away. This really interesting event that happened to a member of your family, and
Yeah.
just to act, and then you go right into that road trip situation. What was that
Well,
sequence
she
like?
is just so the fun story about this is she was a very late addition to the cast. There was someone else, another iconic woman, attached who had to pull out for family reasons. It's honestly such a good story that I wish I could tell at some point. I can't. And I was like, oh my God, I was just devastated, didn't know what we were going to do. And Mel Eslin, who was the head of Duplass Brothers, said, what about Susan Sullivan? And I looked her up. I was like, right, no, Susan Sullivan. So interesting. And so I Zoomed with her to talk to her about it. And her video comes up and my video comes up for her and we're looking at each other and it was as if we put a face filter on. We have the exact same bone structure and we just immediately connected. We have such talk about the most beautiful thing that can happen in casting is to find soulmates, right? But it's not just romantic soulmates. You just find these people who see your heart, and she's one of them. So she was so wonderful, but she was so funny. She was like, I'm awful in this movie. This mother is just terrible. And I said, I know, but isn't it so much fun? It's going to be so fun. And she was so funny. She would cut through all of mine and I could cut through hers. And she was just exactly what I wanted for that role and couldn't even fully articulate. She just understood that waspy mother who just everything she says just pierces your your heart and soul
It's out of love, though, right?
out of love. And so funny. She's so different than my mom. That's not the mom I grew up with at all, but I know that character very, very well. And yes, it is all. And that's what I kept saying to Susan. She means well. She loves her daughter. She thinks she's saying the right thing all the time.
That's amazing. Oh, look, I ask a lot of filmmakers advice on how to finish their respective screenplay. And
Mhm.
the fact that I was looking at something and I came
Oh,
across a reel.
don't finish
Don't,
it.
don't finish it. That's great. That's great advice. That's very, very insightful and truthful. But voice text memo is part of the ingredients as far as writing
Well,
the
that was
script.
how we hatched it. That's is always very helpful, I think, in the early times. I think if you're sitting down in front of a blank page, you'll write something and then delete, 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 because you'll sit and read it back. There's something great about Mark for the Puffy Chair wrote it into a mini recorder, like a tape recorder. And that's how he used to write all of his scripts. And so we were on a road trip. And so I just opened up the voice to text memo and just it all went into my notes app. And if you open that document today, it is real darn close to what we shot, which is wild.
Wow, that is so amazing. And
Yeah. But I think it's a great way, if you're giving advice to writers, it's a great way to do it without second guessing yourself. Just get it out first. Just get all your ideas out without judging them, without backtracking and second guessing. Just spew it. And then you have all the time in the world to refine it. But just get it out first, because I think you can get stuck in circular thinking for a while.
speaking of, oh, not, I don't even know if it's circular thinking, but I just have this weird thing where I have all of these streamers on my iPad and there's so much content, but it's seemingly so. but I find very few films like Magic Hour out there. What
Mm,
is that
good.
weird? No, but what is that weird thing where we are inundated with so much quote unquote content or art whatsoever, but movies like Magic Hour are very few and far between. I can't add those two up. Can you? Because you're a
No,
filmmaker.
I mean, I
Oh,
wish I had an answer to that, except for there's only one me. So that's why there's only one magic hour. And everyone has their own unique voice. And I think you look at what distributors and streamers are doing and they're trying to satisfy the masses, right? So if one thing works, then they're going to green light 20 of them. And that's why there's a bunch of those. But it tends to bury movies like Magic Hour or the like because they are unique and they are on their own. So they have to be discovered and they have to be highlighted and shared. If you like it, then you have to tell everyone because the streamers are only going to keep making movies like this if this one works. So the reason why you see so many movies that are the same is because one of them worked at some point. And so they're just making another version of that.
you mentioned earlier about cutting through the BS and the topic and theme of grief. You can see a lot of movies that have that lowest common denominator approach to it, and your film doesn't. How hard was it to cut through that BS and edit the script? Or am I overthinking it and it was organic and it wasn't hard?
No, I mean, look, I think we always had it front of mind to not make it a grief poem. It was because a lot of it is hopeful. Is moving through the loss of something. It's moving through the space. It's adapting and trying to figure out how to exist without that relationship in your life and who am I without this person and how does that exist? And I think it's a tricky movie to talk about because you don't want to give too much away, but I think if you look at it in a way of every relationship you have in your life, whether it is romantic or with a family member or a friend, if there's a fallout and that relationship goes away, that the existence of that person in your life doesn't disappear. Like that person like took up space in your life. And so how do you adapt and how do you grow from there? And how long do you allow that space to remain sacred before you start moving it a little further away and a little further away and a little further away until your life is your own again? Um, and I think that is a more human way of looking at grief than just sort of scratching the surface and being like, ah, but also is a really hard place to be in for 90 minutes.
I'm horrible. I'm an Angelino, but I like my I grew up on malls and staying indoors in horrible air conditioning. And so Joshua Tree to me is more of a concept.
Yeah.
For you, what does Joshua Tree mean to you? Obviously you shot a film there, but is there
Well,
space?
Joshua Tree, I think, provided a really rich metaphor for her emotional state. I think it is incredibly isolating in the desolate nature of it all. I think it is the desert feels so dead, but at the same time has all this evidence of life, of flowers that are popping up out of dry dirt and lizards. And there's all kinds of just reminders of it's not all dead. And I think there was also an otherworldly nature to just the landscape itself of it's surreal. She looks outside and it's just surreal. It cannot be her reality. I also think the horizon line is really sharp and stark there. And it's a division between day and night and light and dark and life and death and very metaphorical in that way. And then I also think beyond that, the woo-woo side of it all is it's an incredibly spiritual place. It's not a surprise that people go to Joshua Tree to do drugs. There is something that is soul shifting there. There's this theory that there's three rivers that run underneath that create this energy vortex. I also think there's something wild about the wind there where it does seem to come from like all directions and really wrap around you. It made it very easy to feel emotionally destabilized there.
Can
It
you,
was cool.
my,
I think it would have been a very different movie if we shot it in San Fernando Valley.
I'm right here. But speaking of just different movies, just within the last several years, Mack and Rita getting the chance to work with Diane Keaton. this film and the upcoming, I'm excited to see Their Town. Is there a direct correlation on how you grow as a human to how you grow as a filmmaker? Or do you think those are two separate worlds that live on their own, I suppose?
I think there is, I'm not sure I'm going to answer this in the way you want me to, but I think that there is a similar ethos, right? In that I think if you're growing as a person, the goal is to always stay curious and always challenge yourself and always move forward. And I think as a filmmaker, it's following your heart a little bit. And it's also building an ethic of the way you want to work. I want to work with people I love and respect and have a great time with. I think we're so frigging lucky to do what we do. This is such a delight that I am not curing cancer, that I am not picking up garbage. I am playing make believe with my friends. And sometimes I get paid for it. Less and less often now, but I used to really get paid a lot of money for it. And so, but I think the idea of in the way that we grow as humans and you are maturing and you're like, I know what I like, I know what I don't like, I know the kind of person I want to be in the world. As a filmmaker, I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and I know the kind of filmmaker I want to be. And that is a little bit less of the kind of movies I want to make because I love movies. I love different genres. I love dipping into different stories. But I know the kind of filmmaker I want to be, and that is one with integrity, who's really good and kind and generous to my crew and my cast. And I want to run a real tight ship, and I want people to trust me, that they're in good hands. And that is the kind of filmmaker I want to be. In the same way as I mature as a human, I'm like, I want to be a good person, but I also want to be the person that someone turns to for a good laugh sometimes. I want people to feel safe with me. So that's the kind of filmmaker I want to be. That being said, I want to challenge myself and try different genres, but I also know that I did a survival thriller. I don't need to do that again. That's not who I am. I don't like living in that headspace of that for 2 years. It's not like where I need to be. That being said, would I do an erotic thriller? Yeah, totally. That's interesting to me. I really loved my film that is following Magic Hours called Bear Town. And that is like a YA romantic drama. And that was a beautiful experience too. Would I do a YA comedy? 100%. I think the idea that genre limits you as a filmmaker is totally wrong. I think you just want to determine what kind of filmmaker you want to be and then do everything in your power to try and achieve that.
Katie, thank you so much for your time. Last time we talked, I extracted one of your all-time favorite movies. Baby Boom was one of your picks. Can you please give us another pick for our podcast listeners to watch and why? And thank you for your time.
Okay, this is a fun one. Broadcast News is an all-time favorite, so much so that I accidentally went to journalism school because of it. And that is true because I loved that movie so much and was like, I want to be it. That's the life I want. And then I got into journalism school. I was like, oh no, I actually want to be Holly Hunter. That's the truth.
Well, it could have helped you become a better writer. Maybe journalism school helped you. Maybe.
That's really bureaucratic. I didn't love it, but man, have your people watch that. That movie is I'm going to say it is a perfect movie.
Thanks again, Katie. Really enjoyed your film.
Thank you very much. It was good to talk to you again.
Pleasure. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.